As Valentine's Day is on the approach, many of you have been asking me for a sexy smoky eye, and this is what I've come up with. If you watched last week's tutorial, you'll know I've created both these looks using the Nars and God Created the Woman palette. So I've cleansed my skin and I'm going to be applying Illamasqua skin based foundation using this duo fibre brush from Crown. It doesn't have a name on it, so I can't tell you exactly which brush it is, I'm afraid. But I do find this one works particularly well with skin based foundation, and I just work that in circular motions over the entire face. This particular foundation, you only need a small amount, as a little goes a long way. As this is a date night makeup, I would say you want a foundation that's going to give you a nice amount of coverage, but you still want to be able to see your skin through it. You don't want to look caked in foundation. And I find with this one, although it's quite a full coverage foundation, once it's worked right into the skin, you can still see your own skin through it, but you get a really nice coverage with it. It gives you a nice flawless base. If you're wearing your hair up, don't forget your ears, and also don't forget to take it down your neck. I'm not a massive fan of wearing powder over the skin, but if it's a date night, the last thing you want is a shiny forehead. So I'm using this Flawless Face Powder by MeMeMe Cosmetics, and I'm applying that using my Real Techniques Bold Metals Collection powder brush. Moving on to brows, I'm going to keep them rather simple and just fill in my natural shape. So I'm grooming them first, and then I'm using my Nars Brow Perfector. So like I always do, I start at the base of my brow at the very front, and I just like to feather the colour through. We want to keep this area as the lightest part of the brow because it naturally is the lightest area. Now I do really like this product. My only personal criticism would be that I would personally like it to be a little bit smaller, a bit more like the Anastasia Beverly Hills one that's quite pointed, so that you can create small hair marks through the brows. With this one being a little bit thicker, that makes that a little bit harder to do. But as you can see, it still gives you a nice natural finish. I'm prepping the eyelids with the Nars Smudgeproof eyeshadow base. This is a small size one that you get with the palette, and I'm blending that all the way up to the brow and underneath the lower lash line. We're going to be creating a nice sharp edge to our eyeshadow, so to do that we're going to be applying a small amount of Scotch Tape on the outer edge of our eye. We want to place it comfortably at the corner of our eye, and we want to stick down the other end of the tape towards the end of the eyebrow, and this should give us the right angle for our eyeshadow. So this is the Nars and God Created the Woman palette, and we're going to be starting off by using this taupe shade and then moving on to this darker brown shade. And the brush I'm using is the Bold Metals number 200 oval shadow brush. The nice thing about working with Scotch Tape is it means you don't have to be particularly neat. We're going to start on the outside of the eye where the tape is, and we're going to pull the colour over the tape and onto the lid. So we're going to take that colour over the entire mobile eyelid, then just on the outer edge we're going to take that from the crease and feather it across, coming down towards the mobile eyelid. And that's going to give us that V shape, but the tape's going to give us a nice sharp edge. Then taking the Zoeva 220 Grand Shader brush, I'm just going to soften all that, making sure it blends really nicely. Now we've got the base on, I've dipped the oval shadow brush into the darker brown colour, and I'm just using a gentle motion just to pat that on top of the colour we've already applied. As you can see, I'm patting that on from the highest point of the tape in the top corner, coming down onto the mobile eyelid, making sure we don't lose that V shape that we created with the lighter brown. And then same as before, I'm taking the Grand Shader brush just to soften all of the edges. We want to blend from that top corner through the crease and onto that mobile eyelid. We're now going to repeat that process using the darker brown eyeshadow from the palette. It's all about building when you're creating an intense smoky eye. You want to lay down the foundations of the colours first, make sure they all blend away really seamlessly, and then reapply them. By sandwiching the colours, we're going to make sure it lasts as long as possible, and we're also going to get a nice density of colour. Here I'm using a small fluffy blending brush just to pull the colour up and just blend towards that eyebrow. We don't want to go as high as the eyebrow, but we want to make sure we get a nice soft gradient as it goes up and transitions to a lighter brown. The key to good blending is to have a really light hand. You may find if you hold the bottom end of the brush as opposed to being too close to the top, then you'll naturally have a lighter grip on the brush and you'll find that the blending comes a lot easier. Next we're taking the darkest eyeshadow in the palette, and this is like a black shade with sort of gold flecks through it. We're going to be placing this from the outer corner of the eye of the mobile eyelid, not up into the crease area, and we're going to be patting that across the mobile eyelid, stopping about 2/3 of the way across. Then we're going to be dipping our fluffy blending brush into the taupe shade in the palette, and we're going to be working that into the crease area. And this is just going to help to blend in the seam of that black eyeshadow into the colours already on the eyelid. Next we're taking this very soft pinky golden bronze shade, and we're going to be patting that on the inner third of the mobile eyelid. I'm using the Zoeva 325 Luxe Brow Light Brush to pat this on. The bristles are really dense, so you can really pick up a nice amount of colour with this. And I'm feathering over the centre just so it blends in with the black. Now we can gently peel off this Scotch tape to reveal a nice sharp crisp line. I just like to use my foundation brush just to work over that, just to replace a little bit of the foundation. So off camera I've just gone and completed the other eye. So moving on, I'm next going to take the Avon Super Shock Gel Liner in Ink Black. I'm going to tight line underneath the top lashes, and I'm also going to take that across the waterline from the very inner corner to the very outer corner. Going back to my palette, I'm taking the middle shade again, and on a small detailer brush from Kryolan, I'm going to apply that to the inner corner of the eye, and this is just going to add a nice soft highlight. I'm next mixing the black from the palette and this warm chocolate brown shade, and I'm taking that on an angled liner brush from Crown, and I'm running that underneath my lower lashes. You want to wiggle right between your lower lashes to diminish any of the pinky tones, and you want to take that from the very outer corner, matching up where that nice sharp line is, and go all the way underneath to the inner corner of your eye. I'm then going in with the 325 from Zoeva just to smoke that out. Next, you want to give your lashes a good curl and use a mascara of your choice. I'm using the Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara. I like this one because it's really buildable and it makes your lashes nice and fluffy. I'm using my new favourite Lena lashes, and these are in the style Naomi. Every date night makeup needs a little bit of contour, so I'm going to be using my Pro Sculpt powder, and I'm applying that with my Zoeva 109 Face Paint Vegan brush. I place the bristles of the brush into the hollows of the cheekbones, and I just work that backwards and forwards, and I like to pull the colour upwards. So we're creating a bit more of a sharper line down the cheekbone itself, and we're feathering that upwards, and this is going to create a nice shadow. So we want to accentuate our natural beauty and bring out some nice natural curves to our face. And remember, it is a date night, so we don't want to scare the other person off. We don't want to go hell for leather on the old contouring, but we want to look as polished as we can. On my 114 Luxe Face Focus brush from Zoeva, I'm taking that sculpt powder around our hairlines, and as you saw, I've already taken it down the sides of the nose, but we're also going to just take that around the hairline. If you've got a small forehead, you only want to apply this maybe to the sides, not the top. You want to avoid shortening your forehead even more. Next, I'm taking my Glamour Glow Indulgence palette by Kryolan, and I'm taking this peachy shade which is called Juicy Mood, and to apply that I'm using my Real Techniques 300 tapered brush. I'm taking that just above where we applied the contour colour, so the back half of the cheek upwards. These colours give off a really nice soft shimmer appearance, so if you're not massive on highlighters, then this will be enough to add a little bit of a sheen to your cheeks. I am going to go in over the top with some Soft and Gentle by MAC, and to apply that I'm going back in with the Zoeva 114 Luxe Face Focus brush, and I'm applying this right along the top of the cheekbone just above where we've applied the blush. I'm only applying the smallest amount just so we get a nice soft glow. I'm taking a little bit of that down the centre of the nose and just a little bit above the cupid's bow and above the eyebrows. As we've got a really intense eye, I like to really play down the lips, so I'm just going for a nice nude lipstick, and over that I'm going to apply a little bit of gloss, and my favourite one to use, which I've used for about 10 years, is, not the same pot obviously, is the Victoria's Secret one, and it's got a nice shimmer to it. Obviously you don't have to opt for a nude lip, you can go for whatever colour you like. And that is my date night makeup look complete. I hope you've liked it. Please give me a thumbs up if you have. If you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments section below the video. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this tutorial, this is the second look I've created using this palette. So if you'd like to see the first look that I've done, then you can click here now and it will take you to that. If you'd like to see more about what I get up to in my job as a makeup artist, then you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.